Are you an idiot? Well, you're in good company. There are about 8 billion idiots on this planet, and that number grows every day. Don't be the guy or gal that says, "I'm not an idiot," because that makes you the biggest idiot of all. We all have our moments of brilliance and our moments of idiocy. Embrace it, folks. Don't be ashamed. Without those idiot moments, we would never be able to appreciate our brilliance. Welcome to I Love My Idiot, a podcast about the idiots we love, the idiots we loathe, and the idiots we can't seem to avoid. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Visit our website at ilovemyidiot.com.
Welcome to another episode of I Love My Idiot.
I'm your equal host, Clyde November.
And I'm Rosie November.
And we're thrilled to have you with us today.
That's right.
We have a very special announcement, and we need everyone to limit all other distractions. I have an Amber Alert to report.
Yeah,
all right?
This is a shocking thing that happened.
Yes, there has been a kidnapping in my neighborhood. And whichever one of you fuckers did it really pisses me off.
It was probably a 12-year-old girl or
it probably
maybe
was.
even younger.
So let me explain. We decided we're going to be those annoying people and set up for Christmas before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So we spent an entire day decking out our house. And if you know anything about Clyde and Rosie,
we do it all out.
We go big.
Yeah, you go big or you go home at the November house.
That's right. And, you know, being the first Christmas back in this house, I felt I had a lot to prove. So we upped our game. We have lights galore. We have blow-ups. But the centerpiece...
Baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus. It's, we built a manger. We built a little stable.
Yeah.
Someone stole Baby Jesus. We woke up this morning and Baby Jesus was gone. Okay.
He was MIA. Mary's sitting there right by the manger. No baby Jesus to be looked at.
Yeah. Now, I understand we may have offended some of our neighbors by decorating early. In fact, while we were decorating, I would say at least 5 guys that happened to be driving by or walking by would make sure that they comment, "Thanks a lot. Now my wife is going to make me set up."
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Stop being a Scrooge.
That's right. And who takes baby Jesus? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we live in a neighborhood that's filled with teenagers. So I almost guarantee you it was a teenager that took baby Jesus.
I'm not so sure. In fact, I don't know what kind of market there is out there for baby Jesus, like a black market, you know?
You know, they did leave the swaddling clothes there. So at least they just took the baby Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have hauled away like Mary and Joseph and the whole thing, but they just took baby Jesus.
They were definitely sending a message. And every single night until Christmas, I am going to be out patrolling. I am going to find which one of these bastard neighbors of ours all of a sudden has a baby Jesus in their yard.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's going to be war. We're getting baby Jesus back. We will rescue baby Jesus.
Little Rosie feels so devastated about baby Jesus being gone because it was like her favorite thing, putting baby Jesus in the little manger.
Yeah, people, we let our daughter place the heavenly being himself in the manger.
Yeah. And so this morning when we go out to, look at all our stuff because it's really exciting, baby Jesus is absent and little Rosie just burst into tears and she was like, "Baby Jesus is gone." It was devastating. So now we're using one of little Rosie's baby dolls as baby Jesus.
Which isn't cool because she doesn't even have any male dolls.
It's a little girl doll.
We have a little bald baby girl doll. So it's really messed up.
I don't know if it's more messed up that we put the little girl baby in there or the fact that you chained the baby Jesus to the manger.
Yeah, I got my bike locked out.
Little Rosie is looking at it like, am I going to get my dolly back ever? And you're like, no, this is baby Jesus now.
Yeah. You can steal my bike now, but don't steal my second baby Jesus. So I would like to give a description so that if you happen to be driving around and you see baby Jesus, you can make sure you let us know. Contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or file a police report because I'm getting ready to. So the police will be aware. So if you're listening to this and you have a guilty conscience, I'm filing the police report Monday morning. You've got till then to return it.
You know when the police ask, how much is your item worth that's been stolen?
It's worth the eternal salvation of mankind. You can't put a price on this crap.
Oh, man, you're really fired up about this, Clyde.
I am.
I just thought it was funny. Like, little Rosie's devastated in tears. You're pissed off, and I'm just laughing in the corner like, oh, my gosh. It's hysterical. That's exactly something that me and my friends would have done in high school.
You know what?
We took road signs, which is actually, I think you need a felony for that. Like, yeah, it's totally something
Boomer
a teenager
and
would do.
We drew the line at baby Jesus. We stole a lot of things. We took for sale signs. We did a lot of reckless, stupid things. But we had opportunities to steal baby Jesus, and we never did. So, quick description on baby Jesus. He is 1 foot and 3 inches in height. He does have a full beard.
He does not, dork.
And he's black.
He actually was a little black baby Jesus.
Yeah. He had some flavor. I don't know what he was. He was like Vin Diesel, all right? Or The Rock. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Clyde, seriously. What are we going to do with you? It's fine. The little girl baby in the place of baby Jesus is working just fine in our manger. It's not a big deal.
It's the principle of it, you know. Baby Jesus would be rolling over in his manger right now if he knew he was being replaced by a little doll named Sarah. Okay? Seriously.
But our lights do look awesome.
They do.
We're the first house in the entire neighborhood to put Christmas lights up, so it's pretty exciting. The whole neighborhood is excited. We've had many people stop and comment on how good it looks. Pretty cool.
All female.
Yeah. And Seamus came over.
That's right. Seamus hates Christmas, but he enjoys our company, so he comes and helps us set up lights.
Also, he worries about Clyde's safety on the roof.
Yeah. You know, I had one hiccup
it just
several
takes
years
once.
ago.
You scared Seamus to death.
I was on the roof, leaning over the edge, trying to wrap my arms around and, you know, hook up some lights. This was a couple years back, and I was at the high part of the roof where the fall was...
Yeah, deadly.
You know... I mean, we're talking second-story house, and I would have landed on the fence, which I'm sure adds extra damage.
You are on the roof, and granted, we probably shouldn't have chosen a rainy day to hang Christmas lights, but it was raining that day. It was a fall rainy day, and you're on the roof, and you start sliding down the most steep, highest point of the house. Seamus caught you just in the right instance and pulled you back up. That is what really happened.
It's
so
true.
Don't go telling your lies of stories.
It was like a scene out of Mission Impossible.
Pretty much.
Part of my body was hanging over the edge of the roof.
And now Seamus will not allow Clyde to get on the roof without his approval and assistance.
Yes, that was that. So now Seamus coming to help us set up is, you know, a yearly thing. So
yeah, it's tradition
we're all
at this
better
point.
for it. Now, Rosie mentioned that our house is incredible.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Now, what's great is driving through our neighborhood. We live on a golf course, and they recently cut some trees down. So the great thing is you can actually see our house from 3 blocks away. But I never knew you could until I was driving home, and all of a sudden this beacon of light out in the distance caught my eye. I was like, what is that? And I looked over, and I can see our 11-foot Mickey Mouse blow up.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's the November house.
Yeah, and then little James says, do you think they can see us from airplanes?
I said, they can see us from space.
It is a lot of lights. I bet there are a million lights.
Probably.
There's so many. Like, I don't even know. There was so many strands.
Did we go overboard? I don't think so.
I mean, I guess it depends on how close you live to our house to if you feel like we went overboard or not.
Well, I do feel sorry for our neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Not because our lights are bright or anything. I feel sorry for them because now they look like slackers. You know, by comparison, their house is dark. Our house is glorious.
Well, I actually feel bad for our neighbors, too, about something. The fact that you went knocking on every one of their doors looking for baby Jesus this morning. That I feel bad about.
Yeah, 7:30 in the morning. You know what they say on those police shows. You have a 48-hour window of finding the victim.
Oh my gosh.
Or there's a good chance that you will never find them.
I 100% think you're never going to find the little baby Jesus.
Do not underestimate. I will find baby Jesus.
Just your luck, it'll be like a little kid being carted around by their parents in a stroller, and you're just going to go grab baby Jesus right out of her arms and be like, that's my baby Jesus.
It'll be like the parents happen to buy their child the same doll.
Well, I don't know.
Like, where'd you get baby Jesus?
You know, this clearly looked like baby Jesus. Like, we bought it on eBay. It was this plasticky, I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, no, it definitely looked like baby Jesus, like what you imagine seeing. So if a little kid was holding it, you'd really know that it was baby Jesus. Like, you couldn't question, is this a doll or is this baby Jesus? That goes in somebody's manger somewhere. Well, now that you got that off your chest, Clyde, I admit it was over-dramatized, but that's the only way you roll. Let's get into our main topic. Today, we're going to talk about the people that we are at 5 years old and how that is different or the same as the people that we are as full-grown adults.
Now, we came up with the idea for this topic because recently we were at my mom's house, and my mom was one of those moms that saved a lot of stuff that probably should have gone in the garbage. Like, for example, my kindergarten report card.
Yeah.
So Rosie finds this. She's in the other room just giggling. I'm sitting there thinking, what could she possibly be laughing at? So I go in the other room. She's reading my kindergarten report card, looks at me and says, you haven't changed since kindergarten. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So why don't you tell them some of the things it said on my report card?
So it's the cutest thing. The first thing it says is, Clyde is a really nice boy.
Boom, people. I am nice. You're right. I haven't changed. Although the person that stole baby Jesus is not going to think I'm nice.
Yeah. The next thing that it says is, but. And everything that comes after a but, it's never good, right?
Which, just as a teacher, I can tell you, there is a teacher code that anytime you're about to insult someone's child, you throw out something nice.
Yeah.
Like, oh, works really hard, but is a total piece of shit.
So the next thing that it says is, Clyde struggles with fine motor skills.
My hands didn't work well when I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, and then I start thinking about all of the things that I've asked Clyde to fix and how hard it is for him. And I'm like, yeah, he still kind of struggles with fine motor skills.
Yeah. Didn't it make a comment that I am unable to cut on a straight line?
Yeah, also still accurate.
Yeah. Rosie sends me out and says, hey, saw this board. I come back and give it to her, and she looks at it, and she's like, this isn't straight. And I'm like, is that my fault or the saw's fault?
Yeah.
I think it's the saw's fault. She blames me.
It's always your fault, Clyde. Just admit it.
I admit nothing.
The next thing it says is, Clyde struggles with social skills and doesn't communicate with his peers.
In my defense, they were all douches. All right.
In kindergarten?
In kindergarten. In fact, can I tell you about my first day of kindergarten?
Yes.
I am not sure if everybody remembers their first day of kindergarten, but because I'm such an extreme introvert, it was one of the most traumatic moments of my life. So it stands out very strong for me. I show up. I'm this quiet kid. I'm terrified. I'm hoping my mom won't actually follow through and leave me there, but she does. And there is this bold, bossy redhead whose name is Trisha, but I had a speech impediment. So when I tried to say her name at home, it sounded like terrific. So then for years, all my siblings were like, ooh, why don't you just make out with terrific? And I was like, shut up. I hate you guys. Anyways, yeah, this girl starts bossing me around, starts telling me, you are coming to my birthday party and we are going to be friends and you're going to be my boyfriend.
Dude, that's exactly how I approached you the first time I met you.
It is. And really, she laid some groundwork because I was so off put by this that for the rest of the year, I didn't speak. I just avoided people. I was like, apparently this is how kids my age interact. They just boss you around, try to sexually harass you. I'm not cool with that. You know what I mean? So I kept my distance from them.
The next thing it says is, Clyde struggles with his short-term memory skills. Also very accurate to this day. You can never remember where anything is. Literally, you had my phone this morning in your hand. Literally, 2 minutes later, he's like, where's your phone? I was like, you had it.
Yeah, I remember the important stuff.
Yeah.
Movie quotes, song lyrics, my children's birth dates. You know, if I don't see the value in remembering something, it just slips, you know?
The main thing that the teacher spent a lot of time talking about was Clyde cannot focus. There was a whole paragraph devoted just to your inability to pay attention in class, to listen to simple directions.
I do have ADD.
Yeah.
I still have ADD.
Yeah.
I have never once tried to medicate for my ADD. So I am spacey as all get up.
Yeah.
In fact, when I was at that conference for my work a little while ago, I would be in these sessions and I would pay attention, but I can't help it. Sometimes my brain starts to wander and I don't know what it is. I have the worst luck because my brain always wanders when they're getting ready to tell us what our activity is. And then all of a sudden they say, all right, go ahead and partner up with someone and get started. And that's what I hear. And I don't hear any of the instructions. Right. And so I was sitting next to one of my coworkers. Every time we would turn, I'd have to tell her, I'm sorry, I don't know what we're supposed to be talking about because I spaced out. Now, fortunately, she didn't judge. Hopefully.
Yeah, none of us judge you, Clyde. We all love you for who you are. But it's really funny because as I was reading this report card of little 5-year-old Clyde, the only thing I could think about is, this is my idiot. Like, this is him today. Like, I could give you this exact same report card today as you received it when you were just 5 years old. Which is incredible. That's
true. And you know what? Back in that day and age, if you had ADD, you were just looked at like you were an idiot. You weren't looked at as, you know what, something about your brain doesn't function. You're right. I still am that human. Yeah. I still struggle with the motor skills. Yeah. I still can't pay attention. In fact, a lot of times you'll tell me something and instantly you'll quiz me on it.
My favorite is watching your face when I'm like, what did I just say? And then looking at you ponder in your brain, okay, what's the last thing I heard? And what might she say after she said the last thing that I heard? 99.9% of the time, the thing that you repeat to me is completely made up. Like, it's not what I actually said. And then I repeat myself. But what I've noticed is when I do that, you really pay attention the second time around. Oh, yeah, because
now I know there's going to be a quiz.
You're like, she's got directions for me and I need to pay attention to what that is so that my wife doesn't divorce me.
I was one of those kids that was always really good on the retake of the test, but original test, I was sure to fail, for sure. But here's the great thing. In the beginning of our marriage, I think this frustrated you beyond all get up, right?
Yeah.
And you would always be like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, I just told you that. But I've noticed now that you are so patient with me. I am patient with you. And you are so kind. And you repeat yourself so often. And I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
That you have to be married to this idiot. But you know,
it's all
how I
right.
am.
You offer other things in the relationship that are outside of your ability to listen and follow directions and the sort.
Yeah, what you're saying is I do have some good qualities.
You do.
All right, good.
Like you're tall, you can reach stuff.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just stop the list right there. That's it. I mean, you're 5'0". You had to marry someone tall.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I definitely needed height, and I found that in you, and I'm very grateful for that.
There we go.
I also think that you're very passionate, you know, AKA the beginning of this podcast and how much passion that you have. But yeah, there's just so many great qualities to you that far outreach those that you're lacking in.
I know, and it's a shame that my kindergarten teacher never took the time to try to see past the spacey lack of ability to do just about anything on a kindergarten level, you know.
Yeah,
anyways,
exactly.
Did my report card say anything else? So
that was it pretty much. Other than she highly recommended that you repeat kindergarten. So did you have to repeat kindergarten?
Well, it was kind of a strange time because I don't know why, but the cutoff used to be Halloween for like if you were going to start school or not. And so I actually started kindergarten when I was 4 years old and not 5 years old. Mm-hmm. But the year after I was in kindergarten, they created this new system where you had to turn 5 by the time school started. And so they created this class. They called it pre-first.
Yeah, but your mom told me she had a choice if she wanted to send you on or let you do pre-first.
That's right. And that's what we were all told. And my mom told me that the choice was mine. She has later told me that she just did that because she wanted me to feel like I was like buying in. But she's like, no, you weren't going to first grade.
She's sitting there with Reese's Pieces, like one at a time.
She's so like, if you stay.
And you'll do anything for peanut butter cups. So I'm just saying.
That's right. So I did stay behind so that then I would be in the same grade as everybody else who was my actual age.
Yeah.
So, Rosie, I didn't have the joy of reading a report card from you.
I actually don't have any report cards or anything from my childhood because my house burned down when I was 12 and we lost everything.
That's right. And that was one of the most traumatic things that happened in your childhood, of course, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but what I can tell you, it was terrible. So what I can tell you is that one of the things that's similar to when I was in kindergarten is I've always really wanted people's approval. And words of affirmation is totally one of my love languages.
It totally is. And I'm not great with words and language and communication, but that was something I had to learn, that I had to give you words of affirmation frequently.
Yeah.
You need to hear that. You like that. It makes you feel special.
That's right. It not only makes me feel special, it makes me feel like worthy, right? And so to this day, I think I strive for pleasing others and words of affirmation just as much today as I did when I was in kindergarten. So one of the things, and it's one of your favorite stories, but when I was in kindergarten, we were extraordinarily poor, the poorest of the poor. And we didn't have supplies. We didn't have resources. It was a really rough go for my whole entire family. And when I was at the fair, I had won this, I don't know, they called them like water weenies back then, but I don't know what it actually is. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Dude, I do know what
it had
you're
like
talking about.
Sparkles and stuff in it and like little toys and
you'd
things.
stick your finger in it and it would like wiggle.
Yeah. And they were super popular in the 80s, whatever. I had won this and then I took it home. I decided that I wanted to make something for my teacher. So I cut open the water weenie and I put it in a jar and took it to school. So
basically it looked kind of like a snow globe, like a homemade...
Exactly. It's like a homemade
snow globe. And your parents were probably ticked that you stole a jar without asking.
Probably, but I didn't care. Like, I just wanted the approval and to make my teacher happy. To this day, that's what I do. Like, every day I go to work and I'm like, how can I make my boss happy today? Like, that's just who I am, right? I'm a pleaser. I took it in and... my teacher's gone. There's this sub And she goes, oh, your teacher had her baby. And I was like, well, that's not going to work for me. Who said she could have her baby right now? Like, I brought her a gift and I need her here to give her that gift.
And I need her approval.
Exactly. I put it in my cubby. You know how you used to have those cute little cubbies, you know? I put it in my cubby. Well, it apparently created a small leak, like a finite leak, or just one drip at a time. My cubby was the bottom cubby.
Were they like double-deckers?
Yeah, like the double-deckers. Mine was the bottom one. Like, I didn't notice it was leaking. So 6 weeks later, my teacher returns from giving birth to her baby. And upon her arrival, I am so excited, right, that I'm going to get to give her this awesome thing that I made. Before I could even do that, she calls me up to her desk. Now, when you're in kindergarten, you never want to just be called up to somebody's desk, you know? And she says, is there something in your cubby? And I said, yes. Like, I'm very excited to give this to her. And she goes, well, whatever it was has created damage to our cubby system. And there's now mold that has grown. And everybody has to take all of their things out of the cubbies. And, like, then I guess janitors had to come in and, like, clean up the mold. And, like, we couldn't put our stuff in our cubby. So I literally damaged an entire cubby system with my one thing. And I just started to cry.
Was she coming down on you hard, or was she just matter-of-factly saying everything? She
was just, like, very direct. I wouldn't say she was coming down on me, but to me, I'm like a little kid, you know, I'm 5 years old, and my only purpose at this point is to make my teacher happy.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I just started to cry. I think that's when she realized that what was in my locker, like, was not what she thought it may have been, because I think she thought maybe that I had put something in there that was going to intentionally damage the cubby system, but that wasn't the case. And so then I pull it out, and it's, like, gross and slimy and disgusting, and like crusties are all over it. And I was like, I made this for you.
Now, one reason I love that story is because you have no idea how many horrible things kids have made me, and I have to pretend like I'm like, thanks. And I don't even want to touch it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can just imagine this from your teacher's perspective. I mean, from your perspective, it's horrible. Yeah. You were wanting to do a sweet, kind thing. But from your teacher's perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, why did I even become a teacher, right? This kid's giving me this moldy jar that has sprinkles in it.
Dude, yeah. And the thing is I didn't have money or anything, and it was literally the nicest thing I had at that moment in my life, you know? I didn't have a lot of toys or anything, and so I literally sacrificed the nicest thing I owned to create something for my teacher, and then it just all went really poorly.
It backfired.
It set me off on the wrong side with my peers as well, because they were all ticked that A, everybody who had things on the bottom cubby had things that were damaged, but B, we lost our entire cubby system for about 3 days, and a new cubby system was brought in. For those 3 days, my peers were like, this was all Rosie's fault. If it weren't for her, we'd still have our cubbies, you know, because people having to like put stuff under their chairs. And I'm like, but it's cool to put stuff under our chairs. So anyways, it was one of the more traumatic
Knowing
things.
you were probably like, this personal accountability is actually very comforting.
Exactly. Another example of who I am today, right?
There we go.
You make the best of your situation, and that is totally me. I'm a glass half full person. I was in kindergarten, and I am today. Yeah, so I mean, that reflects I'm giving and kind. That's a reflection of this story. So I think in a lot of ways I am who I was in kindergarten, but then so much life has beat me down since kindergarten that I know that I've made adjustments in who I am. But I think some of your fundamentals are definitely there.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just straight survival, right? Like, no one's going to get by as the kindergarten version of themselves as adult life starts kicking your ass.
Exactly.
Adulting is hard sometimes.
It is hard. And not only adulting for me, being a teenager was just brutal. And I know it is for a lot of people. I know that the teenage years are rough on everybody. I don't think anybody comes out of their teens unscathed, but mine was harder, I think, than most, considering my circumstances. Yeah, I was learning how to be on my own. By the time I was 16 years old, I had 3 jobs. So I really didn't have a life when I was a teen, and it was like hard, the stuff I learned.
Yet you managed to somehow take AP classes, graduate from high school early.
I graduated 2 years early. I don't know how I did it.
My teenage years were pretty much a cakewalk. I mean, I hit roadblocks, speed bumps. The kind of bumps that you had were like mountains.
Yeah.
And somehow you came out the other side, the person that you are today, and it's a miracle.
Yeah.
But it goes back to who you were at 5 years old.
That's right.
You're a glass half full person.
Yeah.
You came out after having to hit some speed bumps, and you said, hey, look at all the opportunity in the world that's ahead of me.
Exactly. Sky's the limit. I can be anything I want to be.
You're a go-getter, and one thing that's awesome about being married to you, but sometimes really annoying, is that you're good at everything. Every single thing you put your mind to, you're instantly better than me, right? Like, I love puzzles, and I was always trying to get you to do a puzzle with me, like early in our marriage, and you kept being like, no, that's not really my thing. So I just sit there and do puzzles by myself. And then one day I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to trash this puzzle. It's too hard. And you were like, well, let me give it a shot. It was this tiger puzzle where like
all the colors were the same.
All the stripes were just, it was impossible, people. Like, impossible. I left the room, came back, Rosie had the puzzle finished.
Not finished. What did I save for you?
You saved the centerpiece, which I believe was the tiger's nose.
Yes.
The pink nose. And you saved the last piece for me so that I could feel good.
Yeah. Because you worked so hard on the outside of that puzzle.
I know.
I mean, granted, I did the majority.
It was a 1,000-piece puzzle, and I did 50 pieces, and you felt like, hey, he'll feel better if he does 51.
Yeah, and we all know when you're doing a puzzle, the last piece is the best piece.
It's the most important, right?
Yeah, and I saved that for you.
So kind.
I know.
That was a very kind gesture. But then it ticked me off because I was like, wait, I love puzzles. And you are this good at puzzles and you don't even like puzzles? And then you told me why you were so good at puzzles.
Yeah.
Share it with our audience.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I would sometimes spend the summers with my grandma. Grandma always had a jigsaw puzzle going. She would always do the parts that had things in them, and then she would save the sky.
The hard part.
For me. She'd say, Rosie, I saved you the sky. And when I was little, me and my desire for
approval.
I would get all excited because I would think, oh, she saved it for me. Like, how fun is that? I'm so grateful that you saved this for me. And it would be so challenging because she'd get the ones with the teeny, teeny, tiny pieces, I'd get to do the whole sky. And then when it was done, she would just be so happy. But the rule was, if I ever started a puzzle with Grandma, if it had anything in it, like a barn or a piece of somebody's face, I was to reserve those pieces for Grandma. She would define on the thing, these are the pieces that you can do. And I would have to look for all blue pieces, So yeah, that was my childhood. And that's why I'm so good at puzzles, because if you can get sky completely done at 5 years old on a piece that's the size of your thumb, yeah.
Yeah, that's real impressive.
You can do any jigsaw puzzle.
We do jigsaw puzzles with our son, James. He loves puzzles.
Oh, he loves them, yeah.
But when I do adult puzzles with him, I do the opposite of your grandma. I give him the easy pieces because it seems more fitting that the little kid should have the easy pieces.
It's a hard knocks.
I know. Maybe I'm doing him a disservice by not saying you got the sky. He could be a great
puzzler if you just gave him the sky pieces.
I know. He's never going to reach your level.
No, not many people will. What can I say?
I know. It's
a skill.
It's annoying.
I wish I was as good at other things as I am at jigsaw puzzles.
No, you're good at everything.
I don't know.
Everything that comes up, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do this. And you're like, I don't know either. Let's figure it out. And here I am tripping over myself, trying to figure something new and learn this new skill. And then you're doing it like you've been doing it for 30 years.
I don't know.
It's just who you are. But while you do that, I just sit there and give you words of affirmation. I'm like, wow, you are so amazing.
Except for yesterday when we were putting up Christmas lights, I was starting to get irritated with you because you were talking the whole time instead of doing. And
I like talking.
At one point, I looked up at Clyde and I was like, I would like you to be working while you're talking because otherwise I'm never going to get this done. Like, I cannot do this alone. I need you to be working. And you were like, listen, I just want to tell you one more thing. And I'd be like, one more thing. What is it right now? And then you're like, well, under the pressure, I no longer know what I want to talk to you about.
My short-term memory thing just kicked in. I can't remember what we were talking about.
And also, Clyde is really spacey. And so pretty soon he's just wandering. And I'm like, what are you doing? And you're like, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? And then you just look at the ground and there's like a hammer sitting there and you just pick up the hammer and you're like, I was looking for this hammer. And I was like, seriously, Clyde, were you really looking for that hammer? Or did you just happen to see the hammer? And because I was yelling at you, decide that was what you were looking for? And then you just start pounding on a stake that was already pounded into the ground. I'm like, Clyde, that one's done. I already did that one. You're like, it was a little loose.
Look, one of the most valuable lessons I learned in the Army is look busy. All right? You don't have to be busy. Just look busy and people will leave you alone.
Oh my gosh, not me.
Yeah, you're like onto it. You're like...
Oh, I'm totally onto it. And then I was like, hey, can you go plug in the light sensor? And so what this sensor does is if it's light outside, then the lights are off. If it's dark, the lights automatically come on because it has a sensor in it.
I like how you just described an automatic light sensor as if no one knows what that is.
Dude, it's a thing, guys. If you don't have one and you do Christmas lights, invest in like 3 of them.
Yeah,
they're really
plugging
important.
in and unplugging every day is not cool.
No, let the sun decide when your lights come on and off. So anyhow, I'm like, Clyde, go plug that in and make it go. Because there's always a button or something on it that says, turn lights on, even though it's light outside. We want to see our stuff. And you're like, well, I don't know how to make it work. And I was like, I don't know either. We just bought it at Lowe's, which, by the way, against my own will, I had a freaking gift card. And
people are giving us gift cards for Lowe's.
Seriously.
Now that they know we're Home Depot people.
I think they're doing it out of spite. I really do. And so then I'm like, well, I don't know. It's a brand new one. Like, I just bought it too. And so I looked at you and I was like, Clyde, would you like me to figure out how to do it? Or would you like to figure out how to do it? And the look on my face told you that you should try to figure out how to do it. And it was the cutest thing because Clyde climbs up on the ladder and he gets up there and he's like, oh, it's just this button right here. He just like pushed a button. And I had asked you like 600 times to turn it on. But that time you finally did it. You were my hero because everything started turning on.
That's right. Well, it wasn't a button. Like, this is what was confusing about it. Because I had looked at it earlier and I was like, there's no on or off switch or button or anything. There's a spot where you put your thumb on it. I know that sounds like a button, but it's not. You put your thumb.
It sounds a lot like a button to me.
No, because there's no like button or anything, but you put your thumb in this one spot and there's a sensor there. And when it feels the heat of your thumb, it turns it on. So this was new technology for me.
I'm not better at everything than you. There's lots of things that you're better at me than, but usually figuring stuff out is sort of my job in the household.
It is. It is. I don't have the patience to figure out new stuff, but I can be taught. So if you figure it out and teach me, then I can become good at something.
It's really funny because 2 out of our 3 kids are like you. And it sometimes feels like I'm herding cats around because, like, you guys are chasing butterflies everywhere we go.
And, you know, bringing up our kids, I'm glad that you did that because...
one is like me.
We need to talk because here's the thing. We've just discussed how the people we are today, there were shades of it when we were as young as 5 years old. Well, we have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old and a daughter who's 4 and on the cusp. Well, I guess she's got a while, but, she thinks she's basically 5 at this point.
Yeah.
Something I want you to think about is the people that they are today, we're going to be seeing that same stuff
I know.
in them when they're adults. It's scary.
Scary. We're just going to really have to teach them coping skills. Something really funny happened today. The kids are so excited to see the Christmas lights. They want to help. They really do. They fizzle out after about 15 minutes in the cold outside. They're like, nah, never mind. I don't want to be out here. But something really funny happened, and I thought this is a life skill that little James is learning that's going to travel through the rest of his life. So he's trying to help little Rosie put on her shoes. Now, she's got Converse that are the high top Converse, and they are a little bit difficult to squeeze onto her little feet. As high tops are for anybody who tries to wear high tops.
I always hated those when I was little. I didn't have the motor skills to put them on.
And so little Rosie is screaming at the top of her lungs to James, "Hurry up, James! Put my shoes on! I need help! I need help! Come on, James!" He's trying his very best to get these shoes on her feet. And pretty soon she starts crying and screaming, which little Rosie's screechy cry scream is about the worst sound on the planet. Like, I bet you can hear it. No, I bet you can hear it in New Mexico from Denver. Like, seriously, it is the worst sound. And so then little James is like, I'm trying. And she's just bossing him around. Like, you got to put your fingers in the side and like trying to tell him how to do it. And pretty soon little James starts crying too. And he's like, I'm trying to help you. All the meanwhile, yes, I could have stood in and helped, but I thought this is a life lesson that little James is learning right now, which is it is very difficult to please a woman. And he's learning that at 8 years old, that no matter what he does for little Rosie, it's wrong, which is just... It's hysterical.
This is a total life lesson.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's never going to be good enough.
It's always
for
hard.
A woman, right?
Yeah, especially if you're married to somebody like me, because I'm also anal retentive, very organized. I don't like messes. I'm a germaphobe. Like, I have all kinds of weird quirks to me that has created difficulties for you in your life, and you've had to actually alter some of your behaviors just to be able to live with me.
I know, like doing the dishes after I eat. It's horrible.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of stuff that you've learned, and it's just funny because little James is learning some of these lessons early on from little Rosie because she's so dang demanding,
Absolutely. Well, speaking of James, when we started the podcast, he actually asked me if I would interview him on the podcast. And I told him no, but then he begged. And I said to him is I said, okay, I will interview you, but I'll record it on my phone. And I'm probably, in my mind, I was like, I'm probably never going to play this on the podcast. But the thing that he talked about was actually kind of funny. And it kind of fits with what we're talking about now. Because who he is now, there's going to be shades of it. And I would just like the audience to get a glimpse of our son, James. James, what's the hardest part about being you?
Well, all the ladies do fall for me and love me. That's the hardest part.
You're adorable. So I told him I would only ask him one question.
And that's what he came up with.
And the hard part about being James is that the ladies do fall for you. I'm like, you little cocky son of a bee.
Dude, his first day of kindergarten, after he got home from school, I said, how was kindergarten? And his only response to me was, I looked so good. Okay, this is my kindergartner. He's probably experienced many things during the day that he's never experienced before, but the thing that stands out the most to him in his day is that he looked so good.
Oh, yeah.
If I only had an ounce of his confidence, I would be such a better person. Like, that kid is so confident in himself, and it's hilarious.
Well, when he was in first grade, every morning he would come to the bathroom when I was getting ready, and he would ask for hair gel. and he'd put hair gel in his hair. He would kind of have it that like messy style where you just kind of rub your hands through and keep your hair a little messy. Except he would then spend like 10 minutes just looking in the mirror, moving individual hairs. And
he wanted to look good.
Oh, yeah. It was like he cared where every single placement of the hair went. And at one point I looked at him and said, James, what are you doing? And he said, organizing. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, who organizes their hair?
Little James does.
Yeah. So.
And it's really funny because he's got all this confidence and he's so awesome. He is such a good kid. He's going to be a great husband someday. And then we have little Rex, who is also awesome, but has no confidence hardly at all.
He's the opposite.
Yeah, he's
of his
the
brother.
exact opposite. Like on his first day of kindergarten, I have all this stuff written down in their baby books. On his first day of kindergarten, he gets home from school and I ask, how was your day? He goes, it was okay. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, did you meet any new friends? He's like, well, when I got to school, nobody held the door for me and it hit me in the head when I came in the door. And then at lunchtime, I stubbed my toe on the corner of the table. And then at recess, I didn't talk to anybody. And now I'm home. And I'm like me, high energy. Like, how can we make this better for you, little Rex?
It's like, well, did anything good happen during the day?
Yeah. And then James is born and he's got all this like confidence in the world. It's really funny to watch James also try to course correct little Rex, because the other morning they were getting ready for school and Rex was like cracking a joke about something and little James was like, Rex, just stop. Look what you're wearing. And he had like a bright green shirt and like red shorts and then leggings underneath it. And
that were probably high waters because that's his thing now.
Yeah. And little James was like, you look ridiculous. Go try again. It's just the cutest thing because I think that they pick each other up, and
they do.
It's really been fun to watch them grow together. I always say it's because I hugged Rex too much. I think he turned out the way he is because I hugged him too much, By the time,
first child syndrome,
By the time you have your second kid, it's like you don't care quite as much when they stub their toe. I literally remember the first time that Rex skinned his knee. And I got down on my hands and knees and cried with him because he cried over a skinned knee.
That's something parents have to figure out how to balance. You know what I mean? And it's hard when it's your first kid and you're seeing them get hurt for the first time.
Well, you accidentally hit James right in the face with a basketball that one time. He had this like big black eye from it. And it was totally an accident. But we just picked him up and we're like, you okay, buddy? And he's like, ah! And it moved right along, like no tears were to be had.
Well, he was about to cry and I said, hey, chicks dig scars. And he's like, cool. No, I'm joking. He wasn't old enough to talk.
No. And it was, a crazy moment because he shouldn't have even been there, but he was, and you didn't know he was there. And pretty soon this basketball comes down from the hoop and it just lands like right on his face. But yeah, it's so funny how it's different. And then by the time we got to little Rosie, we're just like, ugh.
We're like, she'll figure it out.
Yeah, we don't stand right away when she cries because we hope that by the time we get there, whatever tears were there are gone. Little Rex is 11 now, and he has officially gotten his first crush.
He has.
Which is very exciting because when you get your first crush, that's like life altering, It
is.
It changes your whole perspective on life because all of a sudden you now care about more in yourself, but also how you portray yourself to others. And so, yes, Rex has his first crush.
Apparently, this crush lasted the entire year last year when he was a 4th grader. We didn't know about it because he kept this
on the
secret.
Yeah, he kept it locked up.
And I said, oh, that's great. Who is it? And he's like, yeah, like I'm going to tell you. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I get it. You know, when I was little and I had crushes, I didn't want anyone to know. Particularly my brother Claude. He would make fun of me forever. So we are at Walmart, of all places. We're walking around the store. I've got Rosie in the little basket. James is sitting in the main cart. And Rex is riding on the end. And all of a sudden...
Typical day at Walmart.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he starts acting a little weird. And by a little weird, I mean, like, have you ever seen those cartoons where Goofy sees a girl he likes and, like, his eyes are popping out of his sockets and he's like, oh! And he starts breathing weird. That's how Rex starts behaving. And I'm like, are you having a seizure right now? What's going on? And he tells me, Dad, you remember how I told you I had a crush on a girl? And I said, yeah. And he said, I just saw that girl.
Oh my gosh.
Here at the store. And so I start asking some follow-up questions. Did you like nod at her? Did you make eye contact? And then he tells me we did not make eye contact. In fact, I barely even looked at her. And then I said, what do you mean you barely looked at her? And he said, I was just staring at the ground off in the distance. And all of a sudden, I saw these shoes. And I instantly thought, oh, I recognize those shoes.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then I started moving my eyes up and I saw this blue shirt with these little flowers on it. And I said, oh, could it be? He's like, so then, sure enough, it's her. And I said, so you looked right at her? And he said, no. This was out of the corner of my eye. And I said to him, I'm not going to trust the corner of your eye. It probably wasn't even her. And he said, Dad, I have been staring at this woman out of the corner of my eye every day for an entire year. Trust me. I know what she looks like. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my kid is the creepy stalker kid in class, right?
That's hilarious.
Later, when we were checking out, 2 aisles over, this girl and her mom are checking out as well. And I told Rex, I said, hey, you were in her class. Like, just go say hi. And he looked down at his clothes and he was just wearing the grubbiest of grubbies, right?
Yeah.
And he just said, Dad, look at me. Look what I'm wearing. Right? And then James said, I told you this morning to wear something decent. We were going to go in public.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just kind of started saying to him every time he like puts on just the weirdest outfit, I always say to him, let's dress like we're going to see whoever that girl is that you've got a crush on. Let's pretend like we're going to run into her. Because now when he goes to school, he does kind of think about what he's wearing. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, on Saturday when we go to the store or something, it's back to, you know, just I'm not even thinking. My shirt might be inside out. My feet might be in the wrong shoe. I don't know. He's a silly kid.
He is a silly kid. And you know what? These kids never spend a day of their life questioning whether or not they are loved.
Oh, absolutely.
Our kids know that we love them and we support them no matter what. The other day I was talking to a friend and I said, oh, Rex said the darndest thing to me. And it was, you know, something silly, but it was very personal. And she goes, my kids never come to me for stuff like that, you know? And I thought, wow, like we have really created an open door policy in our family.
Honestly, because of the way I was raised, I made a promise to myself when my children were small. I said, I do not want my kids growing up feeling like it's weird to tell your parents that you love them. You know what I mean? I obviously love my parents. But
you'd never say it straight to their face.
No, the idea of like looking my parents in the face and saying, I love you would just be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do that when I was little. And I've never doubted if they've loved me. I just decided, I was like, you know, I'm going to break the cycle. I'm going to tell my children I love them. I'm not going to be afraid to have awkward conversations with my children, even if it's uncomfortable for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I've made a really big effort in that. You perhaps are the reason that that's been able to come so easy because for you, that kind of thing is just a lot more natural than it is for me.
No, all I am is love.
It oozes out of you.
It oozes out of me. And, I love everybody, but I especially love our family.
I'm lucky to have you as my family member and my equal host and my equal parent, co-parent. I don't know what to call that, but right. I'm lucky that I'm raising my children with you because you are just a beacon of light. I love being around you. I love spending time with you. And what the hell am I talking about? We're not supposed to be complimentary on this thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was having a stroke there, folks.
Well, I love you too, Clyde. And you know what? Life is fun. And I think we have a lot of fun. And our kids have a lot of fun. And I really do think that we have a really good life,
We do.
And we bring good balance to our children. The things that I lack, you offer. And the things that you lack, I offer. And together, we create one whole that's very good.
That's right. And no one is perfect. So if you're someone out there who is dating and looking for someone who is going to be your spouse, what I would tell you, the advice that I would give you is make sure that the person you find is strong where you are weak.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the great things about us. You are strong in so many categories where I am weak, and I am tall while you are short.
Yeah.
So we are a well-rounded package, right?
Exactly.
So together we're perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you got to find. You got to find someone who is going to balance you and someone who can step up in the categories where you are lacking.
And it's going to drive you crazy because that's what happens when you're with somebody that is so different than you. But those differences are the things that are actually going to bond you together.
That's
Marriage
right.
is hard.
Marriage is
let's
hard.
be real here. Clyde and I love each other tremendously. But we also had a knockdown, drag-out fight in the middle of our yard over Christmas lights that all of the neighbors listened to. And yeah, we moved on. And now we're podcasting a day later.
I feel like the fight ended when we finally got everything set up and we took the time to place baby Jesus in the manger. And we said, this really puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
This
is what it's all about.
It's all about this. Merry Christmas. And now I am going to hunt down whoever stole baby Jesus. You are a horrible person.
Yeah. We're not even doing an idiot spotlight tonight because the idiot who stole baby Jesus is the
That's
spotlight.
the spotlight.
Please return baby Jesus at your earliest convenience.
That's right. And if you do, if the guilt does get to you and you return baby Jesus, please don't take baby Sarah, who is now in the manger.
Nobody is going to be able to take baby Sarah. You ripped off her arm and put a chain through her body and then replaced her arm, which is partly why baby Rosie is so upset because she knows that little Sarah's never going to be the same.
I can pop those arms back into socket. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, no. Baby Sarah's not going anywhere without a code to your bike clock.
That's right. That's right. Unless they have bolt cutters.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of I Love My Idiot.
Make sure you check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, our website, ilovemyidiot.com. Leave us a message. Let us know if you see baby Jesus.
And don't forget to tell an idiot that you love them.
I love my idiot.
Someone stole baby Jesus. Quick description on baby Jesus. He is 1 foot and 3 inches in height. He does have a full beard. And he's black. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. skills I have acquired over a very long career, skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my baby Jesus go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will throat punch you.